Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry in downtown Mobile, Alabama, or Mobile. I'm not quite sure which it is. And one thing I wanted to show you here is the Church Street Graveyard. And it's kind of interesting that they're calling it a graveyard instead of a cemetery, which all the other cemeteries I've seen do. And this one has a lot of graves from the 1800s, early 1800s. Looks interesting, so let's go around and see what I can find that you might like to see. Looks like it was commissioned in 1819. It's not a very large cemetery. It does look pretty interesting. Let's take a look around. Here's one of the tallest monuments for a husband and wife. He died 1837 and she lived to 1863. Some have ledgers like that. Some have headstones with nothing else. And then some are like this above ground. Here's a couple pretty sturdy ones, but I don't see any markings showing who's there. And this one, look how it got cracked up. I always wonder how these get cracked up like that, especially in places where they don't have earthquakes. Like this, the sides are okay. Well, that one's kind of falling apart a bit, but look at the top. It is just cracked up like everything, and no markings on that or this. A lot of them don't have markings as to who they are. I wonder if this one was intended to be sideways here. This one has a fence around it, but no gate. Not sure what that is supposed to do. Usually the fences are to block off a plot for a family like this one. Again, there's no gate, and the side of this fence, somebody just pulled out. What the heck for? This must have been a big guy. But no markings. No markings on that thing. I guess only his family knows who he is. Now this one says Murdoch, but that's it, no dates. A lot of times they'll put a vase on top where you put in flowers, but they're often broken off. Now here, this one cracked apart and they re-cemented it, but then I bet it used to be all white and they just tarnish like this. You can clean them, but people just lose interest in cleaning graves for their grandparents. Here's two from 1829, and this is interesting. That one held up pretty well, but look what this one. It just really got beaten down. I wonder how. And how does an iron fence fall down like this? Look how the surface of this one has come off. It says 182, so 1820s somewhere. Wow. Right next to a big heavy one. Somebody put a whole lot of lettering on here, but unless you do maintenance to keep it looking good, you just can't read it anymore. I've noticed a few places these white marble ones tend to hold up much better. This is a nice monument. Each one of those four posts has a different name on there. I'm not quite sure what that means. Looks like we got crops growing in this one. Got a sixplex here, but I think somebody escaped. I think they intended this family plot to be really sturdy and last hundreds of years, which didn't fare too well, but at least around the fence, that looks in pretty good shape. And this, nothing left but a little bit of the top right next to what was a tree there. And this big monument was built by the Masons. It shows a Mason dedication here to some of their members. They got a plot here. This one shows 3 people. The oldest one from 1822 burial date. I wonder what that's supposed to be. Huh. Now here is an interesting plot. Look at that blue along the edges there. They got a stump of a huge tree that died. You don't water them, take care of the trees, and that happens. I've seen a lot of that in graveyards. But look, they got a nice healthy palm tree here. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one shows for several people that's in this plot. Boy, this one crumbled terribly. They did not build that well, I guess. Here's a monument with a fence inside of another fence. The fences are only on 3 sides here. These old cemeteries, the fences usually don't wear well. Here, most of the side is gone. There's an interesting carving on this one. And this one seems to have only one there, but it's collected a lot of debris inside of this. There's a really nice sign that must have been put up recently. How do you like what's left of this tree? With 3 tall monuments there, and another one here with a brick wall around it. This brick wall held up pretty well. This one is just laying flat on the ground. And this tall one at the bottom just says Mother's Grave. However, on the other side they have the details. That one says Father and Son, and this one, any kind of a tree in a cemetery is going to eventually be a problem. Here's a nice one for this man who died in 1860, age 62. This one was built really high, and that says 1861. You can barely read it. Here's a really big one that could have several people in there. Now this is a really unusual way to do it. Well, folks, if you like cemeteries like I do, these really old ones that are really interesting, I've got several cemetery videos on my channel that you can search for and find them if you're interested. Good day, folks.